Hello, this is Jon Miller, the creator of The Rest of Everest. I think I can safely say that this show is, without a doubt, the most in-depth look into the entire experience of what it takes to climb Everest, as well as some other peaks throughout the Himalayas. But all of the events in this series are shown in chronological order, so if you're new to the show, please go all the way back to episode 000 and watch everything in order. That's truly the best way to enjoy it. Thanks. Hi everyone, just a couple of notes here before we start this week's episode of the podcast. I wanted to let you all know that Ben, Tim, and Josh will be returning to Nepal in just a couple of months for their annual Himalayan expedition. We'll have lots of information about that trip in the coming weeks, but right now, Josh is trying to sell the touring skis and bindings that he used for Annapurna IV. He's had to replace his boots and the new ones won't fit into the bindings, so he's going to have to buy a new set for this upcoming trip. If anyone would be interested in getting a really great deal on a slightly used touring package, then just visit therestofeverest.com/forsale.html. And I'll put lots of information up there about all the gear. Together, the skis and bindings retail for over $1,000, and he's just looking to get $600 for everything. It's a really great deal on some really good equipment, and it was really only used while he was on the Annapurna IV trip, so it's in really good condition. Again, just visit therestofeverest.com/forsale.html for all of the details. And speaking of money, I want to thank all of you who have made donations to help me cover the cost of producing The Rest of Everest. Recently updated the donation options, so you can either make a one-time donation, or now you can actually make a monthly automated donation, which really will help me out. As always, a donation of any amount will get you access to the bonus materials, and a one-time donation of $25 or more, or really any of the monthly subscription plans. Well, in addition to the bonus material, you'll get a download of the film Everest the Other Side. That's what the entire podcast was originally based on, from the 2003 expedition. Thanks again for supporting the show, everyone. And now here we go with this week's episode.
This is the Rest of Everest video podcast, an almost unabridged expedition experience. Episode 98, Approaching the End of the Approach.
Well, hello again, everyone. Welcome back to the Rest of Everest. I'm Jon Miller, joined as always with Ben Clark out in Telluride. How's it going, Ben?
What's up, John?
Ben mentioned that it's snowing in the Rocky Mountains again, so that's always good.
It is. It's been 2 weeks. It's time. It's a lot of powder.
And then also joining us, as always, is Josh Butson, who's actually, I believe in Aspen right now. Is that correct, Josh?
I'm actually in Glenwood Springs. Getting ready to go Aspen in the morning.
Yes. Well, I want to thank Josh for joining us. His wife is having her knee operated on tomorrow, so we're going to send him and the rest of his family good vibes, and really appreciate you taking the time to join this episode. It's going to be great to have you along, Josh. And this week we're going to continue with the approach to the Annapurna IV base camp. The approach is almost over, and this week we certainly get to see some of the high peaks in the Himalayas. It's going to be some really beautiful footage. So I would say let's go hit the Annapurna circuit and continue on towards Annapurna IV base camp. So here we go.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so here we are. We're just past Chame, and you'll see a shot of Josh here walking through in a minute. The cow is eating trash in a drainage that leads up to Annapurna II.
And I'm walking. And I'm walking.
He's pretending there's no camera filming him.
What camera? Never saw a camera.
Hey, Ben, you guys want to talk just briefly about the numerous Annapurnas?
Yeah, there's, what is there, 4? So there's Annapurna I, that's the highest one. And then there's Annapurna II, and Annapurna III is next to Annapurna II, but Annapurna IV is in between Annapurna II and Annapurna III, which makes no sense. But it's based on altitude and height. So Annapurna I is the highest, it's 8,000 meters. Annapurna II is almost 8,000 meters. Annapurna III is a little bit lower than Annapurna II, but higher than 24,688 foot Annapurna IV where we're headed. And right now in this footage, we're at about like 8,000, 9,000 feet.
So we were finally able to see a glimpse of Annapurna II this morning out the window. Once again, another beautiful day This is our 4th solid day of hiking from Chame to Paisang today, and got pretty worked up this morning thinking about work. I've mostly just been thinking about climbing for a while, and that's been really good, but got talking about our day-to-day lives. And Tim, he's a father of 2 children, great man. Josh, he's married, owns a few businesses, and I'm in a leadership role with 5 different publications, and host a television show, and do this. Thankfully, that my sponsors allow me to. But I got a pretty rough balance sometimes. I'm getting married when I get home, which is about the most exciting thing I could possibly think of. And this is my other passion, and it's nice to be able to take the time to come out here and just focus on something you really, really love doing, and just give your focus to that, instead of it being all the time this sort of split between all these different employees and all these different entities that need some service. So I'm really happy to be here. Really happy to be here with Tim and Josh, because they're both really great people and both bring a lot of interesting skills and perspectives to the table that make for a fun expedition and adventure. So just really happy. It's a good time in life. Really happy to be here.
Yep. Love the mountains.
Beautiful carvings. It's amazing what they've done.
Classic prayer wheel shot. You gotta, every time you roll through anywhere, you have these Chortens that have prayer wheels in them, and you spin them, and this puts good tidings out there. But I tend to spin every single one of them just for good luck. And the longer you hike, the more you do, hopefully the better luck you have.
And there's a proper way to spin them also for all the folks that are out there, which you saw was classic style.
It's always clockwise. So you guys have spent a couple of expeditions together in China in the eastern Himalaya, and do you see those same little stupas or chortens, as they would be called up there?
Not at all. A lot of places where we were, it was sort of the outreaches of the Tibetan culture, and a lot of it was destroyed by the Chinese when they came through and actually tried to get rid of a lot of that stuff, of which, while we were there, the classic thing was a lot of it was being rebuilt for tourism purposes and for the Olympics and various things like that when we were there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but Nepal's still pretty unchanged, which is nice. I mean, Josh and I went to China in 06 and 07, and just 1 year we were able to start to really watch a lot of infrastructure roll in there. But you still see people like that, and then, this is pretty typical in the hinterlands of both Tibet, China, and Nepal, and that you see all these old medieval structures, and this town is Upper Paisang, above Lower Paisang where we are. And, China was on its way to getting pretty developed, but then suddenly they had an earthquake right where we were, so I'd say they're back to probably more simple times like this for now. I really like this shot. I actually previewed this before. You got the people just hanging out, looking around the corner, and then these are our porters. And these guys were super cool. They're just hanging out on the porch right now, playing some cards.
I actually sat down and tried to pick up on this game. I think it was before or after that shot. And it was actually... Yeah. Go ahead. I know you want to say something about that, Ben.
Pretty sure that's 50 Cent.
It is 50. It's not 50 Cent.
Sure, I think that's Nelly.
Cent.
I think that's Nelly.
Really?
That's Nelly, guys. Come on.
Is it Nelly? Oh, wait, it is.
As I said, the only time we see a Nelly t-shirt is if we go to Nepal.
And the guy who's sporting the Nelly is actually, and straight across from him are actually some people from that tea house that we stayed at. Those were We didn't get to see that T-shirt for the whole trip. That would have been classic to follow that down the trail.
Totally. And these guys are the ones laying in, these electric poles, or this might be, it looks like pipes
These
for
are-
sewage.
Yeah, these are PVC pipes. I tried to pick up one of those backpacks. I got permission, and you look at this guy's legs. He's just going for miles and miles. He's pretty much doing the whole Annapurna circuit, carrying this through these villages. You can imagine how he has to turn sideways.
Just
And,
amazing.
Yeah, that's roughly 150 pounds. It's pretty stout.
And it's hard to walk with that stuff in the wind. Too much surface area.
When I see that, I always immediately think, how hard do I work for my money, for my living? I don't work that hard. I'm pretty lucky.
Our life's pretty easy compared to the rest of the world.
Big granite bowl back there. Here's the hardest working people around. Dorji and Fasong working on some dinner. You're probably making some cabbage, carving it up for some momos, little steamed dumplings full of vegetables. This is some rice.
Momos are wonderful, by the way. Highly
The
recommend
red
them.
sauce. Oh, so good.
And if you're ever planning on going to these parts of the world, you'll see a lot of pressure cookers.
Mm-hmm.
They are what get used for everything at elevation.
Couple mountains too. Here's Annapurna 2 and Annapurna 4. Big long pan. What's funny is some of these peaks over here on the right were things we were going out and skiing from base camp, which was cool.
How far away do you think you guys are from the ridge there?
Let's see here. I was probably at around 9,000 feet, so 14 or 15,000 feet away from that ridge in like vertical, just from the base of the ridge, like at 22,000 feet.
Mm-hmm.
So vertically a long way away, and then at least another 2 days of walking.
Yeah, from this point where this was filmed, we actually continued up the valley to find another drainage that goes up to that valley itself.
Well, obviously, since I wasn't there filming with you guys, are we looking at morning or evening right here? I wasn't.
This is morning
This is
right
morning?
now.
Okay, great.
Yeah, early morning.
A little bit tighter picture. Show some of the features on the face.
That
Fairly
thing's
complex.
Freaking burly. I don't think you want to put a route on that one for a while.
Yeah. You start to see a route, and then you see everything that's hanging above you that you don't want to be under.
It's great seeing how the environment's changing. It's like now it's a pine forest, and you're out of the jungle.
Anybody
Totally.
recognize that blue bucket?
And the guy carrying
And the folding
table.
the table.
Now the table's on his back. But he's still psyched. No worries. Yeah, this starts to look a lot like, I guess back towards that granite bowl you can see there in the back of the right. Those towns remind me a lot of being in Colorado. I mean, this looks like kind of the Front Range where it's dry, it's fairly temperate, but of course you don't have 25,000 foot mountains sitting over you in the Front Range. This is about as close as it gets to Colorado.
Now, is this all still the Annapurna circuit, or have you guys gone off on a?
No, this is all the Annapurna circuit. This
Great.
is still the hike. Like, these are all the same views you'd experience as you travel from Besisehar to Manang. Often the horizon towards the middle And underneath that white peak on the left is where Menang is, but we won't make it there until after the climb. That's where the Annapurna circuit story really gets pretty interesting. That's a peak in the back on the left called Paisang Peak.
So what, right before our check station, where you have to actually check in with everybody.
They keep you pretty well managed on the Annapurna circuit. You gotta constantly be stopping in, showing them your passport, showing them your permit to be hiking. Like, keep it pretty organized, and it's safe for travelers there.
Yeah. This is, what is this? This is actually in the same town directly behind this check-in point as where we were originally planning on flying into. So we're pretty close to where we'll be heading up the valley from this point.
He's showing them how you can take a photo and then look at it because it's a digital camera.
Okay, this is where we start to head up.
Yep, we took a left.
You took a left.
A very unmarked left.
We contemplated over where we should take that left. We were well ahead of our porters at that point in time because, of course, we were carrying a lot less than they were.
Yep.
And this is actually a little mountaineering camp where they actually teach mountaineering. And they'll head back into this valley to do some of that, we've heard, while we were there. Of which it was off season, so we did not see anybody using or occupying this building that would be off to the right here. So for all those watching, who's filming us?
Yeah.
Ben's a man of many talents. Look at that. He walks by and films at the same time. It's impressive.
Yeah, my arms
stellar.
aren't that long. It certainly wasn't me filming it.
In my spare time, I'm a ninja. So this is where people tried to claim Annapurna IV base camp was, which is not quite true. There's a conversation about that, and then we're like, yeah, guys, look, there's at least another day. Base camp's at about 4,900 meters, not at like 3,000 meters. So it's a lot higher than, 10,000 feet. We need it to be more like 15,000 feet.
Like way up there around the corner.
Yeah. They're like, and I'm like, we'll just go walk tomorrow. We can't camp here. This is a long way from the mountain.
Give you a little taste. There's something coming up that it's pretty classic. This is one of two, as Ben said, of where they claimed where it was. But I won't ruin the story quite yet.
Yep. What do you think? Sick. Yeah. Yeah. Woo!
Sick.
What do you think, Josh?
Bigger than the anthill, but not that big. Doable. Exciting, he said. One step at a time.
He's ready to take it on.
One step at a time, Tim says.
Classic. That is true.
I think it's sick. It looks huge. And we're going to have a lot of fun. That's what I think.
For all those watching, sick's a good thing when it comes regards to Ben saying it. He uses it a lot, and it's a way of saying he's very excited, and it looks like it's doable.
It's crazy and fun.
There you go.
Now, Ben, did you and Tim get to actually kind of scout this out the year before, as you were?
No.
Okay.
I mean, I took a photo on top of Thorong Peak over off Thorong La Pass over the Annapurna circuit when I hiked it the year before. And we had called Karma, flew in our skis, boots, all our stuff to jump some. And Tim had a pulmonary thing. It kind of went down. I was like, look, we should try and go 6,000 meters. We're here. It's only $1,000. Let's go climb something and ski it. So we went to the top of this peak and summited, and then dropped off a first ski descent. And while we were up there, I took a photo of Annapurna II and Annapurna IV. And after about 3 months of looking at it, I was like, oh my God, I think we should just go there and climb that. And it's pretty typical of my style, as John knows and Josh knows, that I'll just usually find like a photo of a mountain somewhere buried in some collection, or that I took from some other mountain, and be like, look guys, we have a photo. I'm pretty sure we can go try and climb it. That's how we found Annapurna IV. It's the same way we found what we're going to do this spring, and the same way we've been to China. We just buy, first you get a photo, then you get a plane ticket, then you show up and see what happens.
If you're lucky, you find a picture book too.
Yeah, it's postcards or something once you're in country, and you find out it's either super popular or no one knows what it's called.
Well, next week we'll get to get a little bit more acquainted with Annapurna IV, because we actually will make base camp. So that's pretty exciting, and I'm sure there's a lot, many more stories we're going to hear about this expedition. And hopefully they mentioned that there is an expedition coming up this spring 2009, and we will certainly hear more about that in the near future, hopefully sooner than later, but they definitely has some adventurous plans. But hey, let's get to base camp Annapurna IV first. What do you say, guys?
Sounds like a plan.
Sounds like a plan. It's all uphill from here.
Yeah, for
All
a
right.
long time.
Well, thanks a lot, guys, and we will be back next week. Thanks so much.
Thanks,
Later.
John. Have a good night. Bye.
The Rest of Everest is downloaded all over the world every day, and watching the show has become a part of many people's weekly routine. The show will always be free to download, but it's by no means free to produce. Please help me cover my costs by making a small monthly or one-time donation from the right sidebar on my website, and in return I'll give you some cool bonus materials. A donation of any amount will grant you access to some interesting video content, including high-definition versions of several podcast episodes. A one-time donation of $25 or more, or any of the monthly donation options, will additionally grant you access to a downloadable version of the film Everest the Other Side, which episodes 1 to 61 are based on. I really cannot express how vital these donations are, and if you've made a donation, thank you so much.
As always, our announcer is Marlon May, and our music is provided by Wendy Wu. Check her out at wendywoo.com. Thanks so much, everyone, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you for watching The Rest of Everest. For more information on the expedition, please visit therestofeverest.com.
Surprise.